Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is a story that's appeared in the newspaper today which backs up a theory that I've been saying to people for quite some time now. And my theory is that as more and more people become disillusioned with SNP, they'll start leaving the party. And as they start leaving the party, those that are, getting higher up the chain will start telling the rest of the world what it's really like inside the SNP and how ridiculous the party's becoming. So this newspaper article in the Express today is online. The headline is SNP Councillor who accused Tory rival of being a murderer quits party as he claims independence just rhetoric to get votes. Right? So now we've got councillors reading the room better than, most of the cult members that you still have. So Paisley Councillor, Will Mylet quit the SNP and launched a stinging broadside against the group leader and the Renfrewshire council leader, Ian Nicholson. Right? An SNP councillor who once provoked anger by comparing a Tory rival to a murderer due to austerity has sensationally quit the party and blasted their stance on independence. Paisley representative Mylet also launched a broadside against the leader of Renfrewshire Council, accusing him of trying to ridicule and subdue him. This is something else I'm hearing more and more of from the party, from people within the party, when they have a slightly different opinion than what is accepted as a party mantra, they get this ridiculed and subdued. This is not a new thing. And I believe, as we see more and more people leaving the SNP, we'll hear more and more about these things. Mr. Mylet also claimed that the SNP were using Skexit as rhetoric to gain voters and were not serious about pushing for the breakup of the UK anymore. He was a member of the Nats for more than 2 decades, but will now sit as an independent representative until the 2027 council elections. He also hit out at the fact that he had to follow his party's decision in things that were detrimental to Renfrewshire, including the Dargavel primary school scandal and the price of parking being hiked up in Paisley Town Centre. In a statement he said, "I have held off as well due to the possibility of independence for Scotland, a cause that I dearly hold on to, and I believe the majority of Scottish people believe in this too." Disagree with that. There's a fair amount. I don't think it's more than 50%. It has become clear there is no plan to achieve independence, and it has become rhetoric for the SNP to get votes. I feel times have changed dramatically, and the SNP no longer want local champions. I've tried to change from within, but this has failed. It revealed that he called a vote of no confidence in the SNP council leader due to the Dargavel primary school, with the local authority building the new school too small for the area, costing the council an extra £60 million. He added, "It came as no surprise to me that this school was not adequate and ignored by the leader of the council. I was heavily involved in stopping the very unpopular cycle lane in Causey Side Street, whilst the council leader and convener were trying to push this through. This was also the case when it came to road changes in Paisley Town Centre. I had also fought hard to stop the price hike in parking for Paisley Town Centre, as I felt it would be detrimental to the businesses in Paisley. However, I was called a traitor for engaging with business and residents in Paisley, and unfortunately have lost this battle. The leader has tried to ridicule and subdue me, ignoring all my comments. He used group meetings as a way to attack me. I was able to handle all of this. However, he started to win, and when I realised this behaviour was upsetting some of my colleagues within the group, this was now affecting other members' mental health, and I could not allow this to happen and withdrew from attending group meetings. All the council leader wanted was me to attend group meetings. Take his vote and then tell him to go up the road, probably. So Mr. Mylet leaves the minority administration with 20 of the 43 elected members. When contacted by local Democracy Reporting Service, SNP Council leader Ian Nicholson responded, "I will not discuss internal group issues or decisions." Members of the SNP group agree and sign group standing orders which details expected behaviour and that they will abide by its rules. This is a requirement in all political groups and parties. I wish Councillor Mylet well in his future endeavours, and I hope he finds the inner peace he has been seeking. It's a bit of a nasty thing to say at the end, isn't it? So this is something that I've got personal involvement with some of the podcast interview guests that I've had recently who were once members of the SNP. And I think this Councillor Mylet will not be alone. He'll not be the last in the next few weeks, never mind months or years, that will leave the SNP. And I don't believe for a minute we are not about to see a tidal wave of stories about what actually happens inside the SNP. So it's happening that these people, they're saying, no, I can't do it anymore. But it seems to me that this guy's drew the line when he is now convinced that his party is not actually seeking independence and are just using it as rhetoric, in his words, to gain votes. Now, I can see how he would feel at this. It's something I've spoke about quite a lot, and that is nationalists who have a desire for independence feeling let down by the SNP because it's the only reason they joined the party. Let's face it. So they join the party, they end up with these careers, and then at one point they actually realise, and the penny drops, that they ain't looking for independence. There is no manageable route to independence in the SNP manifesto for the election that's happening right now. What they're telling people is, if we get the majority of the seats, we're going to go to Westminster and demand a referendum. Well, you could get the majority of the seats if they did that, and it looks as if they won't, with 30-odd% of the vote. So you can just imagine John Swinneys heading down to meet Keir Starmer and saying, I demand a referendum for Scotland because we got 29 seats in Westminster, which would be the majority of Scottish seats. And Keir Starmer saying, well, if that's like, you think that's, you know, what the people of Scotland want, how many people voted for you? Well, 32.5% of the electorate. They want you. So anybody with half a brain will realise that this plan that they've got for independence won't work. It will fail. But then the SNP will come back up the road and go, there we go again, Westminster, denying the will of the Scottish people, when it's no, it's the will of 32% of Scottish people. But that you know, why worry about facts when you've got a story to tell? So if you are a nationalist who's not stupid and not a cult member, you must be able to see right through these things the same as I have, in the same way as this nationalist councillor, Mr. Mylet, has seen right through it, that it's not going to work. So he's left. Now that he's on the way out, that's probably been the final straw for him, and he's now discussing things that have happened during his role as a councillor, and that is, you know, getting told to toe the party line. So I think what's going to happen next week, a week from now, we'll have the results of the general election. You'll probably find loads of SNP MPs not getting taken back to Westminster, because the polls are showing anywhere between, I mean, there's some crazy predictions like 7 seats. I think they'll get more than 7, right? Although I'd love them to get 7 or less, but I think they'll get more than 7. Some are at 11. And the majority of them, if you took an average, is probably somewhere high teens, low 20s. And as I said before the election even started, as long as they get between 20 and 25 seats, I'll be delighted with that. If there's anything south of that, then that's just icing in the cake for me. But I'd be more than happy if the SNP get less than 20 to 25 seats. But that's what I'm, you know, I'll accept that. And that would give them about half the income they get now from their £1.2 million of short money from Westminster and the £600,000 that they take off their parliamentarians on ministerial levy, which is just a donation they take off their wages into the party. So, you know, the bigger dent we can make, the number of MPs they've got, the bigger dent we make in this ministerial levy and short money, and we'll maybe bankrupt them. If not, we'll repeat the theory and try again in Hollywood, right? But it might be enough just one election, and I've always said it'll take 2 elections to bankrupt them, but the more information I'm hearing, it might just take 1. But if it doesn't, then great. We'll really take loads of money off their income, and by the time we get to a Scottish election, might be bust, or they might be on the way to it. And a Scottish election could pat them right over the edge. So that's what I'm hoping for. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing, but more importantly of all, unless you're John Swinneys, unless you're SNP, or unless you're any other ever decreasing cult membership. See everybody else. Have a great day. Cheery bye now.